You're listening to ThunderQuack Podcast Network. This is the ThunderQuack Podcast, the official podcast of ThunderQuack Podcast Network, where anything can happen. So strap yourselves in and hold on to your butts. It's ThunderQuack time!
Hello and welcome back to the penultimate episode of the ThunderQuack Podcast, the official podcast of ThunderQuack.com. It's early on Patreon on Tuesdays for cool people like our Patreon producers, Brian Mirowski and JJ Samuel. And then the rest of you normal human beings get it on Fridays on podcast services across the galaxy. I am one of your hosts, Michael Cohen.
And I'm your other host, Amanda Conkin.
This is our last.
I love it.
The normies. I used to use the term muggles, right? Like that used to be the thing. It's like, oh, it's funny to call people muggles because we're all just muggles because wizards aren't real. Sorry, I hate to break your heart. But now we can't do that anymore at all on account of J.K. Rowling being an absolute trash fire of a human being. So, but everybody already knows that. So, yeah, so I just say normies. But this is our final regular episode. This is it.
Oh yeah, because technically next week or like the last one is like a sort of a weird special Star Wars Disneyland.
It'll be our Disneyland celebration.
Something fun.
Yada yada yada. Yeah.
So this is our last sort of just let's podcast Mike and I talking about some random nonsense on the internet.
Yeah, and in classic ThunderQuack fashion, and I will say in a move that absolutely justifies why this show is ending and a new show is beginning, we have no topic this week. We talked for 40 minutes about other stuff that maybe would have been a good episode, but you have to now pay $10 for that. And the free part is us being like, we don't have a topic this week. But I mean, like, we do have a topic because we're going to Star Wars Celebration at the end of the month, and
so we get to just talk about that.
Yeah, and Star Wars Day was 2 days ago. So let's I mean, we can just talk about Star Wars, right?
It's not hard. We normally do, so it's sort of like
it is. Yeah, it's a byproduct of podcasting with me particularly, but with putting the two of us together for sure. It's like whatever topic it is, somehow we will find a way to relate it back to Star Wars, either by reminding everybody that the prequels actually are pretty good, or if we don't do that, then we definitely hit on the fact that The Rise of Skywalker is not a good film. It's one of those two things I've noticed. It's like it's either us going like, wow, George Lucas really was prescient with the way that, the whole corruption of the government and this is how liberty dies and all of that sort of thing. It's either that or this thing was bad, just like you remember how The Rise of Skywalker was bad, or this thing was good, which is what they totally should have done in The Rise of Skywalker, except they didn't because that movie is really bad. So so I've said both of those things now, so we don't have to say them.
We don't have to say them. I will say that I think one of our ultimate favorite, at least my ultimate favorite ThunderQuack podcast, the one where we rate Hot Boys, definitely came out of a Star Wars conversation as well, I think, because we were talking about Hayden Christensen. And I think that it just evolved.
And Adam Driver, right? Like, I think.
There was just, it wound up being about Hayden Christensen through Rachel Bilson, and then it wound up being about Adam Brody.
Yeah, and then it went to Adam Brody, and then you were all like, what's his face? Chuck Bass. I was like, Clive. I don't know. Because he looks more like a Clive than
he does look like a Clive.
Yeah, he looks like a real Clive.
But it wound up being, I think, one of my favorite episodes of ThunderQuack. So I feel like we can maybe just reminisce back through our episodes of ThunderQuack.
I do think that is absolutely our best episode. I think if we could have captured that energy every week. Here's the thing. I think what we need, if we were going to keep doing this show, is that we need 2 more people. Right? It can't just be you and I, because the odds of you and I both having that energy every week or even every other week is very low, right?
Yeah.
That we're both going to bring that energy. But if there are 4 of us, then I think that the odds are much higher that somebody's coming with that chaotic, what do you mean you think that Chuck Bass is more attractive than Adrian Brody sort of attitude, right? Like I that's what I say, like with other podcasts that I listen to that are similar in format. Like I think about the Kind of Funny podcast, which is, I mean, honestly, what this one is sort of even modeled after in a way. Because that's just them coming together and having a conversation every week. Somebody usually, almost always, every once in a while they have like more low-key episodes, but almost always somebody comes in with the fire starter energy of like, oh, I just want to watch the world burn today, right? Like I'm just gonna is that how you feel, Amanda? Allow me to just vehemently disagree with you for chuckles. And I think that unfortunately with you and I, we sometimes both come in and we're both the straight man, and then the episode's not very fun. Like it's just we're just not there. So yeah, if we
combative,
we just need a couple more wild cards to come in and stir things up. But I mean, like, I have racked my brain. That I'll tell you what the number one reason why I've never like fully pursued that thought is because it's easy for Kind of Funny to do it because they're getting paid to do it. It's their jobs. So it's like, hey, you got to show up for the podcast. When you ask people to do podcasts for free, you can't tell them when to show up, right?
Right.
You have to, everybody just has to agree that they're gonna show up. And the more people you add to that calculation, the harder that gets. And so then you end up with late episodes or episodes that don't come out at all, right? Or, you know, like somebody who doesn't want to be there because they don't have an incentive to be there, that sort of thing. And it's like, adding more people to it was never really going to work long term, I don't think, because you have to have other people who are just as dedicated to it as you are. Which, I mean, I still don't have because I have to podcast with you, Amanda. But no, I mean, like, and that's why we're switching things, right? Because the student bodies thing is one where we're both, I think, equally invested and we both want to do it. Whereas I think like ThunderQuack in the format that it's been is more something that like I want to do and you show up to do it with me, which I am very grateful, right? But like, but it's much more like my speed and not yours, right? So so
it's
I mean,
fun.
like,
I show up because I get to hang out with my friend, and that has always been sort of my mandate for podcasting, because I think of it as a way to connect with you and know what's happening with your family, and hear little Cara and Cassie going to bed in the background, and it's just like a fun way to connect and to like, we have a very weird friendship that's mostly podcast based, but it really does sort of form the basis of that. So it's sort of a weird thing to be thinking about, being like, oh no, there's an actual product that people listen to and that we have to create properly, which I never really.
Well, Patreon is what complicates it, right? Because all of a sudden now we're in a financial transaction with 50 people and they expect a product. Which they are entitled to because they've given us money. And that money is required in order to run not just this podcast, but all of the podcasts on the network, right? So, and obviously, you know, as we always say, we're super grateful to everybody for that. Especially like there's been like a bump in the last 6 months
Oh, nice.
which is so weird that we've bumped up, and we just had somebody do like an annual subscription, which I always love it when people do an annual subscription because it puts a little bit extra into the account, which allows us to do, you know, an interesting thing here or there. So I got buttons made. I should check the shipping status of those, but I got buttons made for Star Wars Celebration,
Nice.
to promote all of the Star Wars podcasts that I don't do anymore. But the thing, like Rebel Cells, I think Tim and Kyle, it's not Tim and Kyle, Joe and Kyle are gonna do Rebel Cells without me when Bad
Oh,
Batch comes back this summer. And then
nice.
we just talked in the post show that we record before the show about how I will probably do 3 episodes for Obi-Wan. That's kind of what I'm planning right now, is that, but
Mhm.
yeah, like it's not going to be like week by week recaps. It'll be something different, but something closer to what we've done for the Marvel stuff, for the enough said, the MCU stuff. So that'll be on Faster, More Intense. But so as much as I said I was going to retire from Star Wars podcasting, it's impossible. But yeah. How did I get onto that? Oh, so that annual subscription. I should shout out who did the annual subscription, but I'm only going to give your first name because I don't have permission to give you a shout out because you didn't do the thing. Dave, you know who you are, Dave, and we thank you for that.
Thanks,
Because
Dave.
your annual pledge is almost exactly what we needed to buy these buttons. So I got pins of 2 of the designs that I've done. They're actually, I mean, like, you can go on to the ThunderQuack store, which we'd never promote, but you can go on to if you go to thunderquack.com/store, I think it's either that or it's store.thunderquack.com. Try both. I let me know what happens. I think maybe I set up both of them. If I'm good at my job, like my actual day job, then
You
I
would have
did do that,
done.
because at work I would have done that. But it's very spotty when it comes to the ThunderQuack stuff. Which is that's the link to our Redbubble store, and both designs are on there. So a couple years ago, I think probably in 2018, I did the We Are the Spark
Yeah. That one, yeah.
design, which
Mhm.
is my favorite t-shirt design that I've ever done. I love it. Like and nobody's that's not true. We've sold a couple, but very few people have bought that one. The ones that sell the most are the 2 Disney Afternoon ones that I did for Cartoon Afternoon. The
Oh, nice.
Blather and Blatherskite one sells it. That's our top seller. People love that design
Nice.
and get it on shirts and phone cases, everything. And then the Let's Get Dangerous, the Darkwing Duck one. So the Gizmo Duck and Darkwing Duck. Those are our best sellers. But the We Are the Spark, which I'm super proud of, and it's my favorite, is like our worst. It's not our worst seller because we have designs that have never sold a single a single
I
item.
love the
But
radical Raylos and the suffers from Rayloism. I haven't paid. I'm like on the website now, being like, "Hey, I'd wear
yeah.
a We Are the Spark shirt."
So I got buttons done for We Are the Spark, and the other one that
Nice,
I got done are the Suffers from Rayloism one,
nice,
which was
nice.
something that one of my friends on Twitter said. Ty said that from Wit and Folly, and then I when I posted that we were doing them, I shouted her out as like because Marie Claire from What the Force was like, "Oh, it suffers from Rayloism. That's awesome," and I was like, "I can't take credit. That's like Ty said that a while
Mhm.
back, and so I made the design, and then nobody bought it. But I'm making the pins, so I don't care." And then Ty was like, "Actually, like in the Raylo community, we refer to them as antis, which are the people who are like who spend their time on the internet just telling Raylos that they're dumb for liking space wizards kissing." So it was an anti Raylo and or anti that that said that I think to Ty, like, or maybe not directly to Ty, but like in a video or something like that, or in a comment on one of her videos on YouTube. And I and she like turned it around, like was like, no, we'll just own it. And I'm like, oh well,
Yeah.
this is perfect then, because like these are literally giveaways for Star Wars Celebration, right? Like, I'm not selling them. We just got them done, and I'm just gonna give them out to people. So like I'll have one of each on, and
I would
I
like
mean, like,
one.
you'll have one as well.
I'm literally like thinking I might buy like a phone case or something with it on it. This is dope. I could get a Suffers from Railoism phone case.
Yeah, so like I'm really hoping that like it just becomes like I got 50 of them done. I have a couple of friends from Twitter that I have to mail them to that won't be a celebration, but it's like, but I know that they need this badge. But I want it, I would really like for it to become a thing at cons where like people have their Suffers from Railoism button, so that so that we can like see each other from across the show floor and go like, oh, there's another one. Because there are more of us than there are of them, but yeah, so I got those done. I'm super excited to have those. And I feel like the We Are the Spark one, it's one of those ones where like it's obviously, it's like the reference to The Last Jedi, which is, one of the best Star Wars movies, if not the best Star Wars movie. It depends on who you talk to, but it depends on whether or not people have good taste. So obviously it's the reference to that, but I almost feel like especially, I don't want to get into it. We're not going to get into it. I think you guys know how we feel about what is currently happening in the United States. I don't think that either one of us needs to get into the nitty
We don't
gritty
have the
of
energy.
of Roe v. Wade, but like just to say that what's happening is disgusting, and we are absolutely against it, as are the majority of Americans, because there's
just to be clear, the repeal of Roe v. Wade, we are vehemently against the repeal.
Yeah.
So.
Just like the whole situation that's happening right now in regards to it.
And I have to say, being in a country right now that has very questionable human rights, it's making me be like, America, what are you doing? Anyways, we don't have to talk about it, but it's just, it hurts my heart. It was a hard week.
So I feel like that design is like now more than ever sort of thing, because I know, and I had talked about this on the Discord, which, Amanda, we got to get you on the Discord. You have to get in there.
Yeah. I have to get on the Discord. Yes.
You can just do it from your phone, right? Like, it's an app, so we'll get you in there. But I had said this on the Discord, sort of like on the day that it happened, and people were kind of like they were angry. People, like, a few people were like angry and dejected and upset, whatever. And I was like, listen, like, yes, right now, let's deal with the emotions and just let it be what it's going to be. And if you need to take a break, you need to rest, then do it, because there are people organizing, and there are fights ahead in order to like either maintain justice as it's meant to be, that precedent, or to like fight to get it back, right? Like those opportunities are going to be there, so rest up now, because there are people organizing, and they're going to need support and help and all of that sort of thing. And I just feel like, once again, because I think I did the We Are the Spark design in response to one of the many things that Trump did in that time period. I'd really have to go back and look at exactly when I did the design, and then look at the news and be like, which one of the horrible things, which race was he banning from entering America, or which who did he insult in a completely inappropriate manner. But I know that it was definitely because Trump did something, and then I was like, you know what though? Like, so and like, that was sort of for that year, that was sort of like, I wanted that to kind of be like our motto. So I'm glad that I'm getting those done, and they're it's like a nice, doing buttons is like a nice cheap. In the past, we've actually just done t-shirts that I gave out for free in order to
Wow.
promote the shows, which was very expensive.
Don't do that.
And this was like, we got like 100 buttons and it was like $60, I think. So yeah, like
Buttons are great. I love buttons. Buttons are just a
yeah,
fun.
and it's
thing.
one part promotion for the shows. I would even say it's a third promotion for the shows. But the other 2/3 of it is that like these are actually just two Star Wars ideologies that I want to wear on my sleeve, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I wanted them for myself, and I just want to like spread that around. So I'm really excited to do that at Celebration, to just sort of like, anybody who asks me where I got the button, I'm going to be like, right here you go.
Hey,
That'll be fun.
so I'm for reals. I would like to order myself this Radical Realism phone case, and it will deliver between the 16th and the 19th of May, which I think is before you leave. Is that before you leave?
Yep. Yeah, we leave on the 22nd.
Can I order it to your house and you can bring it to me so I can have it at Star Wars Celebration?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. As long as it does show up on time. But yeah, totally.
Hopefully. I mean, I don't know if it will, but I'm going to totally just do that. That would be really dope to have this phone case. Sweet.
Yeah. I said to Crystal the other day that my intention is to pack very light for Disneyland and Celebration. Yeah, because I intend on buying stuff there. So it's like I'm not really happy with any of my I shouldn't say any of my Star Wars shirts. I have like, I think I got like 3 Star Wars shirts right now that aren't, worn out or too tight, because they've either shrunk over time or I have expanded, or a little bit of both. But yeah, like I've only kind of got 3 that I'm actually like happy with and wear on a regular basis. So it's time to re-up my Star Wars t-shirt collection. So the plan is my plan is to get at least 4. I'm gonna get 2 at Disney, like at Galaxy's Edge, sort of. I don't know if they sell like actual Star Wars t-shirts inside Galaxy's Edge, or if they just sell like the costuming type stuff. But if not, in Tomorrowland they'll definitely have Star Wars shirts, or at Downtown Disney. But so I'm going to buy a couple of t-shirts there, and then I'm going to buy 2 t-shirts at Celebration from a random kiosk or vendor or whatever.
Save some room for me, hey? Because I have definitely 0 room, because I've been for so long. I've been away for so long, and the amount of things that I am packing is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I'm a little bit worried about, I'm not super worried because I know that other people have flown with their lightsabers, but I'm a little bit worried about going through TSA with lightsabers.
Oh.
So I'm kind of like, should we maybe just ship some stuff back? Right.
You just put it. Are you bringing carry-on only? Because you can definitely pack stuff and nobody cares.
Yeah. The problem is that they have batteries, right? So you're not supposed to put anything with a battery in the,
you can just take out the battery.
In checked luggage.
Can you take out the battery?
I think the battery's like built into it. I don't know.
Oh, weird. I mean, I'm sure that they've dealt with nerds before.
I don't want them. Yeah. You would think so, but then also just like there's no accounting for human beings.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't know. My other plan for Disneyland is that I am really hoping, because it'll be within like a month of Lightyear coming out, I am really hoping that the merch is everywhere. Because
interesting.
I don't know about you. I presently have this one's the XL-15, which is one of they build a bunch of prototype fighters, space fighter things in this movie, and the XL-15 is I think the coolest one, so I bought the toy. But like I am beyond excited for Buzz Lightyear. Just Lightyear, I guess, is the movie. That pun was intended, by the way. That I'm beyond excited. I think when the trailer first hit, we talked about this, that like there were people on the internet going like, "Who is this movie for? Like, who asked for this?" And it's like, this guy right here, this movie is for me. I was 10 years old when Toy Story came out, and since then, which is 27 years ago, I
You've been
have
waiting
been
for the origin
asking for
story.
like the movie that Buzz Lightyear was based on, that the toy was based on.
Yeah.
Like, please give me that thing. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, we will. And it's Chris Evans and Taika Waititi's in it. And he's got it. Hey, you think his armor was cool, his spacesuit was cool, like in Toy Story? Well, we made it even cooler. And we gave him 5 spaceships in this movie. And it's like, and he has a talking robot cat. Like, this movie is 100% for me specifically. Like, the rest of you just get to see it, but someone at Pixar was like, I think it's time we made a movie specifically for this one heterosexual cisgender white man. I don't know, maybe there's a few more people like me out there that this movie is also for, but if you are asking the question, who is this movie for, it's me and all of the me's everywhere that are
me and all of
salivating at the idea of a real Buzz Lightyear story. Oh my god, I can't wait. I'm so excited. So yeah, like I intend on buying at least a t-shirt, or I'm really hoping that there's like a hoodie or something. I really want like a
I'm sure there
like a Star Command hoodie or something of the sort. So with this ship on it, and the Star Command logo or something. I don't know. Hopefully merch, like hopefully licensing and marketing are communicating properly with the people who actually made the movie, so that they're also producing the exact merchandise for the movie. Which the toy licensing they did, because I bought this spaceship, and I bought this spaceship because it is in the exact like form factor and scale that the Micro Machines Star Wars Action Fleet, which are my favorite toys of all time. It's this is exactly what they are. Like, so it's his spaceship, and like the cockpit opens, and there's like a little Buzz Lightyear, like a very tiny Buzz Lightyear figure that goes into the spaceship, which they totally did these in the mid 90s for Star Wars around the time of the special edition. And they're my favorite toys of all time, because one of the coolest things about Star Wars is the spaceships. So I do think that they are communicating appropriately and getting the right merch and everything ready for huge, just massive children such as myself. God, I'm so excited about this movie, Amanda. It's so funny. It's like we're in the midst of all of this Star Wars stuff happening. Like there's a Kenobi trailer, and even the MCU stuff that's happening right now with Moon Knight, Oscar Isaac in MCU, and Doctor Strange, sequel to one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. And the two things that I'm the most excited about right now are Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek show that premiered yesterday.
Oh yeah, you keep nerding out about that. Yeah.
It was so good, Amanda. I got home from Doctor Strange and I had a couple of things that I had to do beforehand, but like I handled a few things, and then Crystal was watching Golden Girls on the big TV in the living room, and I was like, listen, I need to watch the new Star Trek show, and you can stick around or you can leave, but I'm using this TV because I need to watch this show. And she decided to go into the bedroom and watch. Her response was, I just want to watch another 10 minutes. She had just finished an episode of Golden Girls, but it was like, I want to watch another 10 minutes. I was like, you only want to watch another 10 minutes of Golden Girls? Like, that's what you want to do? I was like, leave. I'm not gonna sit through. Golden Girls is a phenomenal show. It's fantastic.
But at that point in time, I understand the essence.
But like, in that moment, I'm like, why do you only want to watch the first 10 minutes of another episode of Golden Girls? Just go watch it in the TV in the bedroom. It's standard def. Like, I need the big TV. And she was gracious and was like, I'm just gonna go get in bed. I was like, thank you. And I watched Star Trek, and then I was so amped up. Sorry,
do I have to watch anything else, or can I just watch Star Trek, the new one.
I think that they give enough context in the first episode for you to understand the only thing that's really that important. That said, there is an entire season of Star Trek Discovery with Christopher Pike, as well as like Spock is a big part of season 2
of Star Trek Discovery.
Of Star Trek Discovery. So that's you need to watch season 1 and 2 of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
And when I say need, it's like, I mean, like, this is not
fine.
difficult
It's just,
task. It is a very good show. The first 2
so
seasons
here's the thing. I've been
really,
meaning
really
to continue to watch. I got halfway through Star Trek Discovery and I just haven't continued to watch it, but I will. Okay, I can invest. Anyways, you can keep nerding out about
you haven't gotten to the part of Star Trek Discovery in season 1 where it like I know, I guarantee you have not gotten to the part where all of a sudden the show turns on its head and it's a different show. It turns into the actual show. And it's like, oh, cool. Everything else before this was kind of just like set up for this moment. And then you get into like the real thing and you're like, I love you, Jason Isaacs, and you're amazing and wonderful. I mean, like, we already all do.
Jason Isaacs? I don't think is he in the whole thing?
He's the captain in the first season. He's Captain Lorca.
Star Trek Discovery? Why did I think it was a woman?
Star Trek Discovery.
Is there a woman that's the head?
In the first episode, Michelle Yeoh is captain.
Okay, maybe I've only watched
Philippa
a few
Georgiou.
episodes of this. Maybe I've only
watched a few episodes. You need to keep going because she dies in the first episode. That's kind of the whole thing. Is that Michael's decisions, her oh, what is she? Does she commandeer the what's it called? Her mutiny, right? I think it's a mutiny.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like ends up
that's what they're dealing with. Yeah.
Giorgio killed, and then she goes to prison, but then like she gets brought back onto the ship and blah blah blah. And Lorca is the captain when she when she's brought onto Discovery.
I remember.
But it like you got to keep going with it because at first it's like I will agree. The first few episodes you're like, what is this show? It's got no direction. It's totally aimless. I do not like the lead character, even though she shares a name with me. But it's which is usually enough. It's usually enough to appeal to my ego, and I'm like, okay, I like this one character. But it's like she's very unlikable in the beginning until you start to learn why, and blah blah blah. Yeah. But yeah, it takes a turn, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh my god, like this is so good. And then Lucius Malfoy is the captain of the ship, and although I knew him first as Captain Hook in Peter Pan, right? Where you're like, am I supposed to think Captain Hook is hot? Right?
yeah.
And then later as an adult, I discovered that like, oh no, Disney got it wrong. You were always supposed to think that Captain Hook is hot. Like absolutely, Captain Hook is meant to be like coded as like an almost like sexual character, because the original Peter Pan is about a girl transitioning from girlhood into womanhood, right?
Yes.
That's what allegorically that's what that story is about. It's written by a man, but it's the nuance that it needs isn't there. It's Wendy's story.
Yeah, it's Wendy's story.
Yeah, and it's absolutely about her.
The original one is called Peter Pan and Wendy, right? Yeah, exactly. Leaving around childish things and realizing that her dad is hot. There you go.
I mean, like in a let's take it in the context
in a Freudian way.
of when the story was. I mean, that was the prevailing psychology of the time, right? Every boy is attracted to their mom and every girl is attracted to their dad. That was definitely the ideology of the time. But like I think that's like a later thing that like came in of like the tradition of the person who the father is Hook, and it's representative things. There's a lot of metaphors going on in Peter Pan.
Yeah.
But Peter Pan
Peter
is
is a-
actually the bad guy, and Captain Hook is just he's just there. If you really read between the lines, right? Like the pirates were not trying to go to Neverland. The pirates are stuck in Neverland, and they would actually like to leave.
Yeah.
But they're just pirates being pirates. They're just doing their thing, trying to survive in this messed up, very confusing place. Because if you really think about Neverland,
wow, it's like a metaphor for ageism.
Yeah. And then there's Peter, who refuses to grow up, who just screws with them all the time. Right? He's just hey, I don't like you guys. And they're like, but we're stuck here. You can leave whenever you want. You go and you steal children. Right? Yeah. There's the whole component of it that they're the Lost Boys, but why are they lost? Are they lost because they got lost and then Peter found them and brought them to a place where they'd be safe? Or is Peter lonely and is just stealing children? Tempting them and being come to Neverland with me, and then they never go home. And there are families that are what happened to my child? Right? Peter Pan is actually a very there's a lot going on there.
Yep.
Anyways, Jason Isaacs was Captain Hook in I think the best Peter Pan movie that's been made. What year was that?
100%. That is the best Peter Pan movie that's ever been
that's
made.
2004, I think, maybe. Anyways, it's around that time, 2004, 2005.
If people haven't seen that movie, you should go see that movie. It's spectacular.
Oh my God, it's so
it's
good.
It's pure Peter Pan. 2003.
Yeah.
The 2003 Peter Pan is such a good movie.
Yeah. And he's so good. He's such a good Captain Hook. That was the first time I ever really took note of him. I think he maybe had probably shown up in something as a guest spot or something, because I think he'd done a lot of that sort of thing in sort of the late 90s. But that's where I took note of him from. So when he shows up in Harry Potter, I'm like, oh, Captain Hook's in Harry Potter. And then when he shows up in Star Trek, I'm like, oh, cool, Captain Hook's in Star Trek.
Oh, you know what's so upsetting? So upsetting, Michael. I'm like, you know what? I really shouldn't sexualize this little Peter Pan. He's 33 years old. Definitely at the time that I was watching that movie, he was the same age. Weird. That's such a weird thing in life to be but what's the other unfortunate thing is that he still kind of looks the same, which is, you shouldn't probably look like you're
Peter Pan.
14 Peter Pan when you're 33 years old. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. I don't know how that kid didn't have more of a moment, because he was so good in it, right?
I mean, I will say though, there's a very specific energy you need to play Peter Pan that's not necessarily translatable to other roles.
Yeah, it's not great for everything. Yeah,
it's not. It's a thing. My buddy, Andrew. Anyways, he played Peter Pan. He has such a great Peter Pan energy. And he did an awesome performance. He played in some Victoria theater that we all went across to see him as Peter Pan, and he's so good in that role. But that energy is really hard to translate into other things. You have to find the right stuff for it.
Yeah, and it's very obnoxious just in everyday life. But anyways, we're talking about Star Trek and how great the new show is, and but you do. I think that it is better if you have the full context of Pike's journey in season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. But also I think that they do a good job in the first episode of Strange New Worlds to give you the context that you need to know where he's at mentally. But you don't get the full context of that until about 15 minutes in. So at first you're gonna be asking a lot of questions. So on the one hand, it's you'd be starting, if you didn't have that context, you're just starting the show with a weird mystery box, which we all know how I feel about mystery boxes in stories. I think that they're completely unnecessary and actually do more harm than good. But but it's actually in this instance, it's a mystery box that actually just has an answer. Like it's like if you want to just go watch Star Trek Discovery, it's there. Yeah, and I would say just watch season 2, but if you just jumped into season 2 for Pike and Spock, you'd be missing all of the context for Michael.
Right. No,
So
I need the Michael.
yeah,
Like again, I'll rewatch Star Trek Discovery. I will have to say
yeah,
I have to say just like a shout out because I was looking up. I always like to like look at stuff. I was looking at the Peter Pan stuff, and Tiger Lily's played by somebody named Carson Gray, and I was like, is this person Indigenous? And Carson Gray is Canadian and from Haida Gwaii, and I think that that's cool because Haida Gwaii people because you had a lot of like I think the art at your wedding was
yeah,
Haida inspired, wasn't it?
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's very much a BC based. It's probably one of the most popular like iconographies of like
yeah.
British Columbia Indigenous experiences is Haida Gwaii, and I just think that that's cool. Anyways, Carson Gray is a songstress, so if you want to listen to some awesome Haida Gwaii songstresses, you can look up Carson Gray. Anyways,
Yeah, so I everybody should go watch Star Trek. But that is like that and Lightyear are the things that I'm the most excited about. And there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's coming out where it's like it's just such a weird thing of like and don't get me wrong, I am so excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's also this thing of like I'm really trying not to get my hopes up on it almost. Like
yeah,
I'm like I
yeah,
feel like I'm almost like there's a part of me that's just being very
caution,
guarded
caution.
and being
Yeah,
don't think that this is going to be necessarily the best Star Wars thing ever. Maybe it is, but maybe it's also just good, right? And that's okay. Like allow that to be okay. Allow it to just be a fun Star Wars thing, which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to podcast about it, right? Because it's like
right.
because that puts that
Mhm.
extra pressure on it of well, what if it does this one problematic thing, and then now I have to talk for 3
Yeah.
weeks. What if one of the actors turns around and says something absolutely horrendous, and now I have to deal with that again, right? Like,
Yeah.
and the repercussions and the domino effect, waterfall, cascade of
Waterfall
destruction
cascade.
that
Yeah.
causes. Yeah, so but yeah, so I don't know, I think with Star Wars in general, I'm just kind of at the moment I'm a little it's funny because we're going to Star Wars Celebration, which I'm sure will just turn me around on all of this, and by the end of that weekend I'm gonna be like, just give me all Star Wars everything all the time. But at the moment I honestly, like, they dropped the panel schedule, right? Like the agenda for the weekend.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, I don't really care about any of this. Like that was my initial response. And I think part of that was just me being like, it's gonna be so hard to get into these panels, right?
Yeah.
Like, so just decide now that it's not that big of a deal and that what's important is to hang out with friends and to like, go like this is the thing. Every celebration that I've been to, it is not the first Force Awakens trailer or getting to see footage of Rogue One. It's not even actually in the movie, but like the teaser trailer for Rogue One before anybody else, or getting to see episodes of Clone Wars or Rebels before other people, which are like the big things, right? Even seeing George Lucas on stage, the 2 times that I've gotten to do that, right? And Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and all of that stuff. Like those
Mhm.
are all really cool experiences, but my favorite things from my time at Celebration are like the fan panels or like the in-depth panels that are sort of off the beaten path. Like
Mhm.
in 2010, my first Celebration, I went to a panel that was why we love the prequels, and in 2010 that was not a prevailing attitude because we were only a season into Clone Wars. So Clone
Right.
Wars hadn't done that heavy lifting of like sort of retconning and fixing a lot of what was wrong with episode 2 and 3. Um so the attitude of like we love the prequels and prequel Defense Force and all of that sort of thing, like that didn't exist yet. So I went to that panel, and it was like, yeah, like I do love the prequels. And then I came home and got in a lot of fights with friends because they were like, but they suck. And I was like, no, actually, it's just you that sucks because you don't like fun or enjoying things or deep storytelling. You just want it to be spoon fed to you. And then they get mad at you when you say that. I don't know why, but anyways, it's just the truth. And then in 2015, my favorite panel was Matt Campbell and I went to a panel that Joel Aaron was doing. Joel Aaron is the cinematographer. He's like the DP on the animated stuff, and he did like a breakdown. I think this was right after season 4 or 5 of the Clone Wars, and he was doing like shot by shot breakdowns of the most complicated stuff they had done that season, and like going through like the technical components of like, this is what was written on the page, this is what George had said, this is what Dave Filoni had said, like these are the feelings that we're going for. So we went back to this source material, whether it's like, you know, Kurosawa or you know, like some like a spaghetti western or like whatever the inspiration was. And he'd be like, so we pulled this up and we looked at the color tones of this and we looked at what lenses they were using, and then we had to go in and we had to develop like digital lenses in order to replicate that. We had to figure out how to do this kind of lighting, which we've never done before. And so you can see in this scene, the reason why it looks the way that it does is because this is the first time we ever did this one thing, or smoke or fire. Like, and he just went through all of this stuff for the animation, where it was like, it like blew my mind of how much time and attention was going into it. Not that we didn't like already know that, but it was like to hear the guy responsible for it like talk about it, it was like one of the best film school classes that I've ever been to in my life. So it's like I was trying to kind of look at it and go like, that's the like, how do I find those panels? I want to find one of those panels. So that was sort of my priority. And then Disney sent me an email and said, hey, we're inviting you specifically, Michael Cohen, to all of the big panels. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because I'm on a list because I've been podcasting about Star Wars for 14 years. So
that could be taken either way, though. You're on a list.
Yeah,
it
probably is. I am probably also on that list of like,
yeah,
don't let this guy too close to Ewan McGregor. All right, like just keep an eye on him. He said some things online. They're troubling. You know, we're just lucky that Oscar Isaac's not going to be here this year. Yeah. But yeah. So I don't know. Like, so my approach has changed now, but when that first had dropped, I was like, whatever, I don't even care about the big panels. And now I'm like, I definitely care about the big panels because I get to be in them. But it's funny how you're complete like just that internal voice that's like, you're never gonna get into it, so just start bad talking them now.
Yeah, start like hating it now so that you don't feel like disappointed later.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, which is just your subconscious trying to protect you from heartbreak. But it's okay. Everything's fine. It's everything has worked out. But yeah, but I do still want to find that panel. So if anybody else is going to Celebration and thinks they know what that panel is, because I didn't have a plan to go to that animation one, that one with Joel Aaron, and I think it might have been Matt Campbell who was like, hey, let's go to this one. Like, I think we should go check this out. And then we went to it, and the two of us like sat in it, like salivating almost. But yeah, yeah, and you're just gonna hang out with the kids and do
basically. I would like to buy a lot of things. My favorite thing about cons is walking to all the tables and finding the best things. Like, I absolutely, it's one of my favorite. I'm really pleased that I've been able to pay you for so much stuff up front, so that then it's like I didn't pay any money by the time I get there. Yeah. And I can then reset my budget based on what I want to buy. So
yeah.
But Anyways,
yeah,
again, I can't
yeah.
take. I have no room in my bag. I can't. I don't want to pay for.
We'll
an
figure it
extra
out.
bag.
We'll figure it out. We'll get
It'll be
we'll get
something.
the stuff home one way
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
I
It'll be good.
yeah.
I'm gonna buy. I'm so excited to buy some Mickey ears because I'm sad I have Mickey ears at home. But then you were like, just buy new Mickey ears, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy Star Wars Mickey ears because I was
Yeah.
thinking about getting Star Wars Mickey ears last time I was there, and instead I got Princess Mickey ears, and so now I just have to lean in and get Star Wars Mickey ears. So
I love that like your thought process initially was like, but I already have Mickey ears. And it was like, have you not considered that Disney has already thought about the fact that you already have Mickey ears? And they put out new Mickey ears like every month. So and usually they're actually mini ears because they got the bow and all that. Because you're talking about the headband, right?
I am, yeah. I'm talking about the headband,
yeah. So you're technically talking about mini ears because Mickey ears is when it's the cap with the ears. Although they do make Minnie Mouse versions of those, but
the mini.
When we talk about Mickey ears, that's generally what we mean as Disney parks enthusiasts.
Very good. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it is that Cara and Cassie want while they're there, because what I intend to be able to do is like there's going to be something where you guys are like, you girls just do not need this. And I get to come in and be the fun aunt and be like, you know what? I know you don't need it, girls, but you can have it anyways.
Good. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to buy them useless stuff that they never will use again.
I'm really good at saying no to stuff, so that works for me. Actually, that's not remotely true. Today we went out for dinner tonight with my mom for her birthday, and knowing that we were going to a restaurant and that we were going to be sitting and waiting for food, and what that is usually like, I was like, well, we're at the mall because we were at the mall to get something for my mom, so I was like, okay, let's go to the Toys R Us, and went and just like bought new toys for them, for a little expansion type things for their Gabby's Dollhouse. Any other parents who have kids that are around the same age will know Gabby's Dollhouse on Netflix. Because they have the dollhouse, they got it for Christmas, but then you got to populate the dollhouse with all the stuff that goes in the dollhouse, right? And all the little characters and stuff from the show. Of course. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna buy. They've been wanting these. It's a little pack where like you can see one of the figures, and then there's a little case. There's like these little boxes in the shape of a cat head that open up, and there's an accessory inside of those, or as Cara calls them, accessories.
Oh
no! She's looking at the box, and she's like, because she's trying to figure out what's inside these things, because it's this little cat box, and you don't know what's inside it. It's a mystery. And then there's also like a little closet that has a mystery figure in it. So it's like, oh, you know what one of the three things is, but then you don't know what these other two things are. And she's looking at it, and she's looking and looking, and she can't read it, right? So she can't just read that it says like there's a mystery figure and then an accessory. And she's looking and looking and looking, and she goes, I think I know what's in here. And I was like, what? Expecting her to be like, oh, because it's Gabby Girl, which is Gabby when she's dressed up as a superhero. Then it's like she knows, she's got to guess at what other characters are in it, right? What the other figurine is, and maybe what the accessory is, and she like specifically what the accessory is, right? And she goes, I think it's a accessory. And I'm like, aww. The word is accessory, Cara. And she's like, oh yeah, an accessory. I think it's accessory. And I was like, accessories that's like a category of things. It's not a specific thing. And there was a lot of learning going on there, but I got one for each of them so that they could have a toy to play with at the table, so that I wouldn't lose my mind with them playing with silverware or tearing up a napkin or doing the things that 2 and 5-year-olds do when they are left to their own devices.
Dear.
So I will just spend money. Ill-advised,
to make your life
right?
easier.
Like, definitely money I shouldn't be spent. I shouldn't be buying them toys 2 weeks before we go to Disneyland. But I'm bad at parenting. I don't know what to tell you. I just,
Aw.
they're spoiled
Aw.
brats. And then Cassie wakes up and is like, I'm not tired. And you're like, yeah, but you got to go to bed. So she just screams at the top of her lungs. So that's how she solves that problem. And you're like,
Okay. I will say, as somebody who was raised a spoiled brat, there are worse things to be raised as. So I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I have definitely said
but I'm
to
also
Crystal,
your warning.
I've definitely said to Crystal, and I mean this in the nicest way possible.
Do you want them to grow
Amanda.
up to be like Amanda?
I've definitely said, like, what, you want them to grow up like Amanda? Because I remember a conversation that we had at one point. I don't remember what got us onto the subject. It was after recording an episode of Quiver or something one night, and the three of us were sitting around talking. And you were talking about something. I think it might have been about junk food or something like that. And you were just like, you said something along the lines of like, and I just refused to deny myself that. Like sort of like as if it like wasn't a big deal, that you were like basically being like, I'm entitled and I have privilege and I'm just going to eat junk food and I don't care what anybody says about it. And it was very like, I can remember talking to Crystal about it and being like, that is because of the way that Amanda was raised. That is very different from the way that I was raised. I have a lot more shame around my junk food eating because it's a lot more like, hey, what are you doing? Like, don't touch that, or no, you can't have more candy. So for me, every time I eat a cookie, it's like I'm doing something, I'm breaking a rule. But then I'm also like getting gratification out of that because it's like, you can't stop me now.
Right.
And that's
my parents feel very guilty because we ate a lot and still do. And I will say, like, we're not necessarily the healthiest family, but for me to not have guilt around food and to look at society and realize how much guilt there is around food.
Yeah.
I consider that a privilege in how I was raised, that I'm very grateful for that I was never shamed for the food that I ate. And I also could access food. No matter, like, I remember it being a thing, being like, no, you can't, you have to choose between the Dunkaroos or the Gushers. You can't have both, instead of not getting any treats. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
but
it is, there's a privilege in that I think, I mean, it depends. Everybody has a different life experience, but I'm very grateful for the way that I was raised, because ultimately I think that it's made me who I am today. And
it's one of those things where I think that we can make fun of it because it's like, well, you know that I wouldn't hang out with you. I certainly wouldn't do a podcast with you if I didn't think that you were a worthwhile human being. But that's not going to stop me from taking you down a peg when the opportunity arises. Or using you as an example of like, now that's what a spoiled brat looks like.
A cautionary tale, if you will.
like because everybody knows what a spoiled brat looks like when they're 7, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's very rare to see what a spoiled brat looks like when they're still a spoiled brat in their 20s. And and I think in your 20s, I think you've definitely matured a lot in the last like 5 or 6 years. But in your 20s, you were still pretty spoiled.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's an ongoing, the thing is that sort of like undermines it is that, like, I know that definitely I've been dealing with a lot of family stuff this week. And anyways, I've been thinking about my extended family a lot. And there's definitely always been a thing where we, me and my sister are really looked at as these sort of like spoiled kids that nobody really takes seriously. But because we both have maintained our, like, who we are and have worked really hard to like at our jobs and at what we like. And like, my sister has a house and she has a good job and I really love what I do and I'm proud of it. I think people start to realize, they're like, well, you know what? There are worse things to be than spoiled. And so like, it's kind of, it's a thing that I fully come to realize in my adulthood, where I'm like, it could have gone one way or another. And I think that there's definitely, you grow and you mature, but I fully support you buying your kids toys if you can, because they'll remember that their dad was there for them to buy them.
Yeah.
Silly garbage while they got to eat dinner with their grandma for her birthday. So it's a very lovely thing that you're able to
They're
do.
also they're also like they're very fortunate in the fact that like if I start a set of something, then like my brain is like, well, then you must continue.
Yeah, you
And
have to have
so
all
for
the
them,
pieces.
it's like, well, you have like, what did I say? It's like, well, we bought them the dollhouse.
So you need the accessories.
So like you need everything that goes inside the dollhouse, right? The thing that drives me nuts is that like the way that the dollhouse works is that there are specific rooms. There's I think 6 spots on it. So there are 6 rooms that you buy separate from the dollhouse. And like it's when you buy the dollhouse, you open it up and it's like there's a little picture of like what goes in that room. So like because in the episodes or whatever, there's the different rooms of the dollhouse. One's like the craft room, and one's the room where they go and they do their little baking things, and one's the room where they go and they have their like exercise playtime stuff, right? Like the each room in the house has like a purpose. And when you buy the dollhouse by itself, it still has like the little things like the little decorations or whatever to point out which rooms they are. But I think there's 6 on the inside of the dollhouse, but then like the door, like the front that opens up into 2 pieces has like these parts where you can put another 6 rooms, so you can basically add 6 more rooms to it. So it's not like you buy it and it's like you bought the dollhouse but there's nothing in the dollhouse, right? It comes with enough stuff for them to
Right.
play.
Right.
But for me, it's like I want them to have all 6 of the rooms for the dollhouse, right? Like I want it to be complete because it has slots for them to go into.
Of course.
It's like buying 4 out of the 5 Dinozords. You can never make the Megazord, and what kind of a life is that, right?
Whoa,
Which is why, as an
that's
adult,
just so sad.
I've bought myself a Megazord that breaks apart into the individual Zords so that I can do that and be like, yes, my life is now complete and has meaning. So for them it's like it like the thing is that, and I'm guessing probably because of supply chain stuff, just like everything else in life right now, um the dollhouse rooms are nowhere to be seen. We bought the dollhouse and then like a week or 2 after Christmas, Crystal saw the rooms and bought 2. I think we have 2 of them, maybe 3. And then they were like put away, and Cara had to do chores and stuff to earn them. She wasn't just given them, 2 weeks after Christmas. Here, have another $50 worth of toys on top of everything else you got. But she bought those, and we haven't seen them since. So it's like, well, thank God she got them when she did. But now it's even worse because now it's like, well, there's a couple in there. If there had been never been any, then it's like, well, whatever, I guess that's the way it goes. But now that there's like a couple, it's like we require the rest. We absolutely need the rest. It's like it really bugs me that in Canada, or not even in Canada, because we got our Bluey toys from a friend that was in Australia. He's still in Australia, but at the time, this was like 2 years ago, because this was like right when Bluey came out, and nobody even really knew what it was yet. It was just this random thing that if you found it on Disney Plus, you knew what it was. And it hadn't like blown up on Disney Junior, I think, or maybe it's Disney Channel. I can't remember. I think it's on Disney Junior. But I knew that there were toys for Bluey, but they didn't have them in North America yet. They were only available in Australia. But thankfully, I had somebody in Australia that I could send to the store, and Wilston went and got a whole bunch of Bluey stuff for them for Christmas. That was magic, right? Because they didn't even know that Bluey toys existed. So it was like they opened these things on Christmas morning. It was like, yeah, like these were obviously made by elves because they're not in the store. It's one of those great things of like,
that's
like
so
those
cool.
there's one opportunity, right? And so we got these certain ones so that they kind of had the full, so they had like at least Bluey and Bingo and then some of the other characters. And one of the things that we got was the car. But then when the toys came to North America, they did the car now with they have like a camper trailer. In
Ooh.
Australia they call them caravans, but like
Right.
a trailer for camping, right? And the thing is that that set comes with, it's the only one that comes with this specific character, Jean-Luc, who's from my favorite episode of Bluey, because I've talked about Bluey before. It's such a good show and I love it so much, and I have an absolute favorite episode, and in it Bluey meets this another kid, Jean-Luc, who is a dog. He's from Canada. He's French Canadian, and
Nice.
they can't speak to each other because Jean-Luc only speaks French and she speaks English, and so there's like the language barrier is there, but they play together anyways, and it's
Cute.
an awesome episode. But the only way to get the Jean-Luc figure is with this camper caravan set that comes with the car. But we already have the car, and it's something that it's gonna bother me forever because I want that one little character figure. But it's very inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, but these are the things that you get to worry about when you have privilege. So
There you go. Yep.
yeah. And here we thought we had no topic and we had nothing to talk about,
No.
but we had lots to
There
talk
you
about. Before we end, because I've talked so much this episode, I want you to tell me what the things are. Also, because I just need this information to
Okay.
prepare in advance. What are the things that you want to do at Disneyland the most? And I know, like you've said, like that you're a tag along, that like you're just along for the ride. But I want to make sure that we do like give me like your top 3 things at Disneyland
Okay.
and California Adventure that you need to do.
I'm so excited. So, because I've had extraordinary Disneyland experiences, I am quite satisfied that I have done all the things that were there in 2019 and before. Definitely, I want whatever the Star Wars ride is that I didn't do the first time. So I did the Smuggler's Run, I think,
Yeah, you did
is
the
the one that I
Falcon,
did
so
do.
yeah.
I would like to do the other one, but obviously Smuggler's Run as well, because when I did that one, I did Fast Pass, and it's just not the same because you always get the 6th seat if you're Fast Pass, and I want to try a different way to like
No,
do
you
it this
single
time.
rider. You mean you did single rider?
Yeah, I did single rider. Yeah, single rider, not Fast Pass. Anyways, I'd like to do those ones again. Space Mountain is always fun, and same with the Indiana Jones ride and the Pirates of the Caribbean ride are just like classics, but I don't necessarily have to do those. I'm pretty sure the Indiana Jones ride threw out my back and it's never been the same since because I'm an old lady. And then I really want to have a mint julep and a beignet in the
Yeah.
New Orleans
in New
Square,
Orleans
or whatever.
Square.
Yeah, that
Okay.
those were like my favorite things before, and I haven't been to adventure like California Adventure in many years. Like the last time I went there was like eons ago, and so I haven't seen any of the adventure stuff. So that would be totally on my radar for something to see. I would like to see the.
I'm gonna because I'm gonna I think probably like rock your world on this one.
Whoa.
That like you haven't been to California Adventure then, right?
I mean, that's fair.
Like because the last time that you went, you were a kid, right? That's what.
No. I went. So me and my friends took a road trip down to the States. But I want to say it was like when I was like 30 or less, like 2026 or something, maybe. But we dominated. We did a full day at California Adventure, and then we spent the 4th of July in Disneyland, and it was one of the best days ever.
Okay.
But we did an entire day in California Adventure, and we did everything. Like we saw the Aladdin show, and we did all the stuff, but it was a day that we sort of split up and did our own stuff and just like went through different things. So I did do California Adventures.
Was it before Cars Land?
Adventures. No, Cars Land was there.
Oh,
but
okay,
I didn't go. We didn't go on the Cars ride because of the line. It was ridiculous, and we were like, you know what, we don't need to do this.
Okay.
So when you're saying Radiator Springs is worth going to, like the Cars Land was really cool. Like walking through Radiator Springs was really interesting, but we didn't actually do the Cars ride. So I would do that.
Had the boardwalk area been renamed Pixar Pier yet?
Oh, I do not know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because
Pixar wasn't, there wasn't a huge Pixar presence. So that would be, Dope.
So
I didn't know that
it's
existed. That's
so
awesome.
basically the way that it works now is that like, and this is even since the last time that I've been, Disneyland is classic Disney, right?
Mhm.
With classic Disneyland, because there's certain things that are just Disneyland, like Space Mountain and the Matterhorn and the
Oh, and
like
Jungle Cruise and
Jungle Cruise, right? That are like Disneyland
yeah,
staples, right? But
yeah,
so it's like that plus Star Wars now, right?
yeah.
And a few other things sort of thrown in, right? Like there is Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, but that's really the only Pixar thing that's on that side.
Yeah.
It's mostly classic Disney and like Disney animation stuff, right?
Mhm.
And the Star Wars stuff. And then you go over to California Adventure, and now California Adventure is primarily Pixar. Like that's the majority of that park. It's basically Pixar Park because you've got Cars Land, you've got Pixar Pier, which is like the Midway Mania, the Toy Story Midway Mania, and then a bunch of the other stuff has been sort of rethemed to be more Pixar. They rethemed the California Screamin', which was it's the same ride. All they did was change the theme and put some different audio cues and stuff in it.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
roller
I
coaster
think
that
that's
does
what
the
it
loop,
is.
right? They
Yeah.
turned that one into the Incredicoaster, so it's Incredibles themed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple other things changed, like Goofy Sky School left, and now that's the Little Mermaid ride. That's
Ooh,
like one of the
fun.
only classic Disney things that's on that side.
I would totally do that. Little Mermaid,
Yeah,
nice.
and now obviously since I've been is the Avengers Campus stuff. So it's like Disneyland side is Star Wars territory, and California Adventure side is Marvel territory. So
Okay.
all the
All right.
cool Marvel stuff is on the California Adventure side.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
and the Muppets thing I think has been replaced with PhilharMagic, which is a thing from Florida. But PhilharMagic is down while we're there. Pirates of the Caribbean unfortunately is down while we're there. I know it's a real bummer because that's obviously one of the best things. And Kara wasn't big enough last time, and she's big enough this time to go on it. So I was really looking forward to that. But
oh, you know what I didn't get to go on is the coaster that's not the Matterhorn and not Space Mountain, but the one with the red rocks.
Big
one
Thunder
in the desert.
Mountain.
Big Thunder Mountain. That was closed when I was there. So I'd like to go on Big Thunder Mountain.
Big Thunder Mountain's a good one. The thing about Big Thunder is it is a fast queue. It's like I think because it's a short-ish ride, but it's a good ride even though it's short. But it doesn't break down very often. It's pretty reliable. So it's like Matterhorn is fast, but Matterhorn breaks down all the time and is often under refurbishment. I am crossing my fingers. It is not scheduled for refurbishment while we're there. The last two times I was at Disneyland, it was under scheduled refurbishment. It is like, this is the thing, is that the Matterhorn's my favorite ride at Disneyland because when you're at the top of the Matterhorn, you see the whole park, right?
And
like that
Matterhorn's
view.
a good one to ride by yourself. I think the Matterhorn was one of the ones that was totally fine for me to do single rider and like feel good about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's
like
the bobsled, right? You're not really not sitting next to anybody anyways, and it's like you get on it, and the longest part of the ride is going up it at the beginning, and then like once you hit the top, it's like you're at the bottom. But because it's one of the older rides, it's got issues. Indiana Jones is the worst for breakdowns in the whole park, but Matterhorn is like right after it, and those are my top two rides, of course. But but Big Thunder is great because it's like there's very rarely a long line for Big Thunder. The park would have to be really, really full for there to be a big line for that ride. So we will definitely do that. But yeah, I mean, like, it's everything that you listed are just things that are on the list by default. I mean, the first thing that we do when we get into the park is go and get beignets so that we have them.
Oh,
like
nice.
I get the big bag. Like
nice.
People who wait in that lineup and then get 3 beignets, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get 6. You're gonna finish those 3 and be like, I really wish we had another 3 beignets. So like, and now like that's when it was just Crystal and I. and like
Right.
it's
Now you
gonna
gotta
be
get
the
way
whole,
more.
5 of us. It's like, no, we
Yeah.
gotta get 12. I'm gonna get 2
Lots of
bags.
beignets. Oh yeah.
I have
Oh
so
yeah.
many beignets.
It's
So
gonna be
many
so
beignets.
good.
I'm
I'm
trying really
excited for
hard
all the
not to eat
food
junk food right now so that I can just
so that you can
go
eat it all. Oh yeah.
crazy while
Oh
we're
yeah.
there.
I'm excited
Yeah.
for like the food is just having the fun like Disney themed food. Like
Yeah.
we had these burgers that were so underwhelming, but they were cool and in the shape of Goofy, and I am here
Yeah.
for it. So
Yeah. Well, then we should definitely have lunch one of the days in Avengers Campus, because
oh,
there's the
yes.
it's like Pim's something or other, but it's
Yeah.
all of the food is like Ant-Man themed, so it's like
Nice.
everything's like either it's like big or small. Like it's like they take
Awesome.
a
I
big
love
thing
it.
and make it smaller, or a small thing and make it really big.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's all funny. It's all funny joke foods.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, here's
I
hope. Here's hoping I'll be awake when I arrive the first day.
Yeah.
It'll be
I'll tell you, the one of the things that I really hope Ant-Man's walking around when we go, and I really hope that he has this prop, because Avengers Campus took over the spot where Bugs Land used to be.
oh.
Which like Bugs Land was great. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was for the little kids, but it was
Yeah.
great. It was a really cool little area because you walk into it and it's like you're the size of a bug. Is neat. And a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for Bugs Land. But it got demolished, presumably, in order to build Avengers Campus, which is a much more marketable thing that's going to sell some tickets rather than Bugs, the Pixar movie that everybody forgets about. Which is unfortunate. I think
A Bug's Life.
Bugs Life is great.
Excuse you. I love a
Sorry.
Bug's Life.
But Ant-Man has Bugs Land. He like
Oh.
so the story within the park, if you talk to
Is that
Ant-Man
he?
about
Oh.
it, is that like when they were like, oh, we need to make room for Avengers Campus, so they brought in some Pym particles and they shrunk
Amazing.
Bugs
Amazing.
Land down, and he's got it like in a little like jar sort of thing.
Oh,
And he's
that's
like,
so
yeah,
cool.
it's great. I can go in there whenever I want. Like I can
Nice.
ride the caterpillar guy. Well, I can't remember the caterpillar guy's name right now, but
I can't either.
yeah, it's like I can ride that whenever I want. And it's like I saw a video of it and I was like, it made me so happy, because the thing that I think a lot of people worry about with the Star Wars and Marvel stuff is like, well, this isn't Disney stuff, so like how does it fit into the theme park? Right, because Disney has a certain magic about it, right? And a lot of the Pixar stuff works for that. But does Marvel work for that? And then to see that they did that one of the Imagineers was like, hey, what if we made a really like tiny model of Bugs Land so that Ant-Man could be like, look, I shrunk it. And now it's the size, like now it's the real size that it's supposed to be. Like the grass blades are the size of a grass blade sort of thing. And it's like, it just, the fact that that magic, like the Disney parks Imagineering magic has just been applied to Marvel and Star Wars makes me so happy. So I can't wait. It's
gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Now we just have to hope that it is not a ridiculous feat to get Kara's passport, because it hasn't arrived yet. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Here's
stressful
hoping.
thing that a year is shaved off of my life every time I think about it. But
no. I'm
we'll
hoping
sort
that
it
I
out
can
one
get
way or
there
another.
fine. I've got to deal with getting through. I hope that there's no restrictions on coming from Vietnam to California. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Cool.
All right.
Well, we did it. That's it.
We did it. So much podcasting. I'm so sorry. So late there.
No, it's all good.
I'm just gonna start my day.
That was the last episode. The last like regular. We will never do this ever again. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
People understand that. It's important. No, it doesn't matter. It only matters to like 6 people. And they're all in the Discord, and they'll all say it matters to me. And I'll be like, yeah, I know it matters to you. You don't need to say it.
We'll talk to them on the Discord. It'll be good. Yeah. I'll add myself to. I'll figure out a way to get on this Discord.
Yeah.
I will see everybody
Cool. If you're listening to this on Patreon, we will have office hours in like a week and a half. It'll be the last thing that I do before really like going to Celebration. We're going to Disneyland. Is on the Friday. That's the plan. So that is that's the 20th. Yeah. So we'll have office hours on the 20th. If you're listening to this, if you're a freeloader that just gets the episode when it comes out on podcast services, then that's next week. That's a week from today, from the Friday. But yeah, that's it. And then the next episode after that it'll come out whenever it comes out, because I'm definitely we're not recording on the 23rd, but we will start having conversations. We'll be recording like the whole week, I think, and then I'll splice it all together. So you guys will get it at some point in the first like week or two of June.
Awesome.
And then I think officially, I think what we'll do is we'll take like 2 weeks off, and then start in on the new show.
Good idea.
But
I'm gonna need my brain to reset a little bit to
yeah,
get back into the groove of being back.
Yeah,
it's gonna be exciting.
I'm really looking forward to you being jet lagged and on a different time zone while
I'm gonna be
Disneyland.
so it kicks my butt coming back the other way, and I have to get off the plane after 2.5 months in Asia, go to the hotel, drop off my bags, and go to Disneyland immediately. Michael,
yeah,
I am gonna be a hot mess.
Yeah,
we're gonna
like listen, like you just like be texting me and keeping me like in the loop, and I will make sure that when we meet up with you, I will have a mint julep and a beignet for you.
Oh my gosh, that just almost made me cry.
I promise you that I'll make sure that happens. So I don't care what time it is. Like if it's like 9 o'clock at night and you're rolling in, it's like here you go.
I really hope it's going to be pretty reasonable. Like I'm hoping that I'll need to go and I'll need to shower and I'll need to get ready, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to see you guys by like before dinner time so that we can like go and I can eat. Like at least it's like, I got to eat anyways. It'll keep me up. I'll come, I'll have a good dinner, and then hopefully little Cassie will be like, I'm tired and like to go home, and I'll be like, oh, I got you, girl. Let's go.
You guys can go crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Well,
all right.
I'll
see you soon.
I mean, we won't talk until Disneyland. I mean, we'll talk over text or whatever, but I'll see you in Disneyland.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited to see the girls. It'll be so good. Wow, that's such a surreal thing. Yeah, I'll see you in Disneyland. Yeah. Hopefully my phone case arrives.
Yeah.
And I can get it. It'll be sweet. Star Wars. I keep forgetting that we're also doing Star Wars Celebration. it's gonna be just a bananas week because cons are a lot. There's a lot going on. It's gonna be so much. It's gonna be a bananas week. Anyways, I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Cool. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Stay safe, everybody. Wash your hands and be kind to one another. Bum, 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 bum. The end.
Follow the ThunderQuack Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching the ThunderQuack Podcast. You can support us in 3 ways. First, by heading to the podcast service of your choice and leaving a rating and review. Second, by going to store.thunderquack.com to pick up some merch from your favorite podcasts. And last but not least, by heading to patreon.com/thunderquack to kick in with your monthly pledge of support and get cool rewards like early access and extended episodes. The ThunderQuack Podcast is the official podcast of thunderquack.com. Head to thunderquack.com to discover more great podcasts.